So how does a delinquent property tax sale work? This is attorney Bob Diamond. I've been buying for many years at those sales, and I'm here today to give you the skinny. And be sure to stay at the end, because in the end, I'm going to give you 2 other ways to make money at tax sales, which are completely different and which will really surprise you. So let's get right into it. The way that a property delinquent tax sale works is that someone falls 3 to 4 years behind in their taxes. At that point, the government in many states is just going to say, enough is enough. We're going to sell this property to get our real estate taxes, because we got to pay the firefighters, the police department, pay for the mayor, pay for the county government, fill the potholes, pick up the trash, and so on and so on and so on. So they're going to put that property up for sale. Now, typically this sale is going to be advertised about 45 days prior to the auction. So what you're going to see is ads in the paper. You probably don't get the paper anymore, but you're also going to see online lists of properties for sale, usually with the tax collector's office. And if you can't find it, just do a Google search, tax sale list, Buncombe County, Georgia, and you'll find it. And if you don't find it, then call over to the tax collector's office and say, hey, I'm trying to find out, what do you do when someone doesn't pay their real estate taxes? Do you sell off the properties? And if so, where can I get the list? And they'll be glad to share it with you. They're public record. So this list is going to come out about 45 days before. Now, the list is typically a lot of properties. I used to buy a lot of properties, for example, in Montgomery County, Pennsylvania, where at the annual sale, the property list would be about 3,500 properties. It's a lot. So it's a big, enormous list. Now, one of the catches and one of the things you need to know is that after that sale is advertised, people run around scrambling to catch up on their taxes. So a lot of those properties that are advertised for sale will not actually sell. So what's going to happen is between when it's advertised, 45 days in advance, and the date of the sale, people are going to run in to pay off their taxes. Now, the majority of that is done, certainly by 3 or 4 days before the sale, the majority of it is done. So what I do is I get the list, I start looking through it, and I'll start looking through Google Maps on the street view, start looking at, I don't like that property, oh, I like that property, don't like that one. And I start skinning down the list. And then about 5 days before the auction, I pull the list again, and I look to see what's still left. And that list is generally going to show you ones that are crossed off that are no longer for sale, or they're just going to have a shorter list where they've deleted all the properties that people caught up on their taxes. So you get that shorter list, and that's when you start driving around and looking at properties. You got to check them out, because these properties can be fire damaged. I mean, I looked at one property. I'm driving down the street looking on my list and looking at tax sale, and I see the property. It's like, oh, that's beautiful. It was a townhouse with a stone front, elegant, beautiful Georgian style place. Like, this is really nice. So I can't believe this is going for tax sale. So I drive up, and then what you want to do is do all the examination you can from the street. There's no open house or anything with these properties. So I'm looking at it from the street, and I get out of the car to go walk up and knock on the door, because I want to find out, is anybody there? What are their plans? Are they the owner? Are they a tenant? What's going on? Find out what I can about the condition of the property. So I go to knock on the door, and I look through like the side glass next to the door, and I see sky I could see up through the ceiling. There was just sky, there was no ceiling. So I'm kind of peeking in, and I see it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's nothing back there. So then I went next to the bigger window next door, kind of peeked up, and sure enough, the whole house had collapsed into the basement. And it looked like a fire had happened. And then over the winter, probably a couple winters, the place had just collapsed. And of course, they didn't pay the taxes for 3 or 4 years because there was no house anymore for them to live in. So now it was going up for tax sale. And I went to that auction, and of course, I struck that off my properties a bit on list. But some guy bought it, and he obviously didn't see it or just drove quickly by from the outside, because he paid good money for that. And it's not refundable. You just put your money down, and it's your house, and it's not an excuse that, oh, the house wasn't there or it was falling out, whatever. It's no excuses. So he just, I'm sure, had a terrible investment. So when you're looking at these houses, make sure that you, in the last 3, 4, or 5 days before the auction, drive around to the properties that are still on the list and look at each one, and then grade it, look at what kind of condition it's in, and decide if you truly want it. And you need to buy these things at a discount, because they do come with hair on them. What kind of hair? Well, sometimes people sue to overturn the sale, and you got to bring in a lawyer to defend that. Sometimes they're tenants, which you have to evict, but you can't do a regular eviction through landlord-tenant court because you don't have a lease with them. So you have to do something called an ejectment action that can be very costly. They can easily cost you $10,000 to $15,000 by the time you're done going through the lawsuit and typically hiring a bonded mover to move them out. It's not like a regular tenant where you can just throw their stuff out on the street or anything like that. This is much worse. So you got to make sure that you're getting it at a low price to account for that. You may have to give some people some cash for keys. You may have to say to a tenant, well, look, you can't stay here, but I'll give you some money. What was your security deposit? I'll give you that back, and you give me the house back, because that may be the more efficient thing to do. So you got to deal with those kinds of headaches, and you have to deal with the uncertainty of not knowing the condition, because there are no open houses, there's no tour. And the other thing you need to know is that this is a cash deal. This is not something where you can get a mortgage. It's not something where you can get financing for it. Mortgage companies are not able to finance them. So those are the challenges. But on the other side, it's the bargain bin. It's the place where you get things for pennies on the dollar. Land sometimes goes for like 10 cents on the dollar, usually for the minimum taxes that are due. And houses often go for 30 or 40% off of retail minus the fix-up costs, which can be an amazing, amazing deal, but you got to do the work to earn that deal. It's not free. So I've taken to doing tax sales a little bit differently. I learned from a friend of mine how to buy the properties where there's not an auction. Instead, you just get lists of properties that are available. You look through the list, you pick out the ones that you want, and you go and you buy those just for the taxes that are owed. That is a much better way to buy. He teaches that. I teach another business, but he teaches that one. If you want to check that out, I recorded an interview with him. It's maybe 15 or 20 minutes long. It's free. It's right here on YouTube. I put a link down below in the description. You can see it. Just see my interview with Tony. Just click on that and you can watch that interview. It's the way that I buy today. It's a really good way to buy, far superior to getting at the auction. The second way is the business that I'm doing called Overages. Now, Overages is a business where when the property sells for more than the taxes that are due, which usually if there's a house on it, it does, that extra money over and above the taxes, the former homeowner is eligible to claim that money. And they can claim that money, and I charge a percentage of what I get if and when I'm successful. So what I do is I get the lists of monies that are being held. I reach out to the people who are owed the money and say, hey, I found some money you're owed. Would you be interested for a percentage if I'm successful that I'll go get this money? And I sign people up all the time. We typically get millions of dollars a year for people. We're making lots of money with it. It's a really great business where I don't have to put money out. I don't have to invest money. Instead, I'm just making money on a regular basis. And I do it where I'm helping people, because the government statistics say that over 72% of the time, the people won't get their money back without me or someone like you who's going to take on this business. And that's because they don't know about the money. They think, oh, they sold my house, so they keep the money. That's exactly what they think. But that just doesn't happen to be true. I can tell you as an attorney, what is true is that yes, they sold your house, and yes, they take the money that they're owed, like your debt, but the rest of it's your money. That's your money if you claim it. You do have to put in a claim. They're not going to send you a check unless you put in a claim, but as long as you do, you'll get the money. So that's a business we do. I think it's really cool. I recorded a video on that. You'll see the link down below. That's an introduction to the Overages business video. Really cool business, really great business. Don't invest money up front, just make money. Can work as a side business, can work as a full-time business. I love it. I gave up my regular law practice for this because I love this business so much. I love the profits. I love the helping people. I love the clear route from I find the money, I get the money, I get paid, they get paid, and we all move on. Really simple, straightforward, fun business. So that's what I got for you today. And when you're buying these tax sales, just a couple of words of advice. Be careful. Know what you're doing. Sit down and learn this business first. I think my friend's Tony's way is the best way to do it. If you want to go to your local auctions, the way to do it is go to a couple of auctions, check them out, just see what happens. Talk to some people, get lay of the land, see what things are selling for, see if the bargains are there, and then sit down with a local attorney who is active in tax sales and find out what the hazards are in your area. They can tell you what you have to do to evict someone. They can tell you if there's any right of redemption. They can tell you all the hair on it so that you'll go in knowing what you're doing, because the knowledgeable investor is the successful investor. So this is Attorney Bob Diamond. If you like this, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want more like this. I'm always talking about tax sales and overages and things like that, and real estate investing, of course. So that's it for today. Click on one of the videos. Either I'll see you in Tony's video, learning about how to buy tax sales, just getting lists of properties, or I'll see you over in my overages introduction video, where I'll show you that business that I'm doing that I absolutely love. So thanks for being here, and I'll see you at one of those two videos.